Good morning. Today is March 1st, 2023. A while ago, I gave myself a challenge. My challenge was to come up with, if possible, my favorite Stanley Kubrick movie. And that could have been very difficult in a way because all of his movies are so different depending on which genre you like, if you like a genre, mine being film noir, he's got that covered, is my point. So if you like sci-fi, he's got that covered. If you like horror, he's got that covered. If you like the war drama, he's got that covered. So over the span of his career, he has comedy, if you like comedies, sorry, but he's got that covered too. And he covered that one brilliantly. That's still not a giveaway, by the way, to my favorite, because if you know, and I have already told you guys what my favorite genre of movie is, um, you could probably figure it out. But what's interesting for me is even though it is the genre that I enjoy, there is something uniquely special about that movie, which I will get to, that I absolutely love. And I've watched and rewatched it so many times, as I've done for all of his movies, actually. So, to me, it's not going to be a ranking, but it'll be more of a spiel on more or less honorable mentions before I get to the number one. And for me, my favorite movie was a juggling act, but the one that does come out on top, I'm not surprised that it does come out on top, but just for reference, the second one, second to last one that I'll mention, was easily could have been number one. And depending on my mood, it could be number one, but not really. So, out of all of his movies, um, one that sort of not overlooked, but doesn't get a lot of hype is Paths of Glory. I really enjoyed Paths of Glory. It wasn't obviously one of the first ones I've seen, but I've heard all the hype about it. And when I saw it, it worked. That was an amazing film, again, in the war genre. If you know anything about the movie, it's a World War One film as in the background. Well, it's not in the background. It is obviously, but the most focus of the story isn't necessarily the war. It is an element of it, but it's a character piece. Is basically, I guess that's my roundabout way of saying it's a character piece. Paths of Glory is a brilliant film. Uh, The Shining. Let's just go with The Shining. The Shining, although, and I will admit, I did see the TV adaptation of it, and that one apparently fit King's stamp of approval. He thought it was more honest depiction of the book. Oh, sorry. And I really liked Rebecca De Mornay, but and Weber, I think, was in it too. That's a lead. There you go. I mean, it made that much of an impression. But we're going with Kubrick's and that Shining, again, brilliant piece for a horror film that wasn't necessarily too horrific. It was actually more suspense, I would say, but chilling performance with Jack Nicholson. Excellent movie. Other mentions, of course, there's 2001. Let's go with 2001. I love the sci-fi genre. This one was uniquely different. It didn't concentrate so much on the space battles that we're used to and the aliens and all that kind of stuff. It was more a depiction of uh, the reality of science at the time, and even in my time, in the sense of it came out in the '60s, I think, late '60s, and a lot of the truisms, although we've learned certainly a lot more about the solar system and all that, in the and space travel itself, rocket ships and all that kind of stuff. In the meanwhile, it still holds true, but it's a fantastic movie. I really, really enjoyed 2001. Kind of a bit of a struggle to get through because it is a very slow paced film, but absolutely worth it to get through, even though you scratch your head at the end and go, what did I just watch? But eventually you get it. And I think for me, the reason it worked is actually the first third. I saw it with a dog. One of those times I've seen it and seen it, but I was watching it with a dog who was having a conversation with the hominids in the movie. It was I thought it was perfect. The stupid dog just he was kind of trying to get through to these hominids, and it just made the movie work even better. One of his misses, although it's hard to say it was necessarily a miss because it was gorgeous. It is what beautifully shot, and an interesting story would be Barry London. I would have loved to have seen his. Apparently, he was going to do a Napoleon film. There was one that came out, Waterloo, around the same time. It failed, so he just transferred his research that he'd done for his Napoleon epic into Barry London, or Linden, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That said, it looked gorgeous. Oh my God. The performances were good and all that. Maybe a bit too long, but beautifully presented film. All right, it's getting a bit, there's so many. Lolita, come on. I mean, Paths of Glory, I liked it, but the Lolita, yikes. I mean, it was funny as hell. Not funny, it was shocking, especially the subject matter. But I guess the funny part would be the Peter Sellers. But that said, it's not a comedy. It's more of a yikes. How could they make this movie? And they could never, although they did remake it. I saw an HBO, I think, did a readaptation of it. And that was okay. But again, Kubrick, almost anything he touched, he turned it into a visual masterpiece. All right, the runner-up for my favorite would have to be Doctor Strangelove. I cannot remember laughing so loud as one, and long, and belly laughs that brought tears to my eyes. It was so funny. I mean, it really was and is that funny. It's my age, so of course I saw it in my teens, but it was still fresh at the time, and oh my God, like I said, that's the one which I flip into back and forth of favorite or pre-ultimate. My favorite, if you know that this guy likes his film noir, would have to be The Killing. Highly recommend anyone to watch that film, especially you young people out there. It was before my time, obviously, but for my time, I am stunned at how well it still holds up. I think it was one of the first movies that did non-linear style. Sterling Hayden, amazing, amazing role. For me, I mean, the story itself is just so good. And again, no spoilers per se. But for me, the standout performance has to be Marie Windsor. I'm sorry, but the queen of film noir, and she pulled off her, sorry, I can't think of her name right now, but she was so conniving. Oh my God. I'm guessing she was on the screen for maybe 10 minutes, if that. And those 10 minutes were just brilliant. I just love Marie Windsor. And she pulled off a subtle, small role to she was almost an antagonist. I mean, she was so bizarre. I mean, she was just. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, run out and get it or watch it. It is that good. And for me, like I said, those two movies, I flip back and forth what I like, what I don't like. But because of my interest in film noir, it always comes out to The Killing being number one. The last honorable mention, which I'll give because this is taking up too much time, would be A Clockwork Orange. I read the book before I seen the movie, and I thought it was a brilliant adaptation. For me, a movie adaptation is always different from the novel. That novel is, I burned through it. It's a very short novel, what, 300 pages or something like that. I burned through it in one sitting. It was that edge of my seat. And then the movie's a little bit, to me, slower paced, but brilliantly paced. And come on, the Beethoven in that movie. So, anyways, there you go. This is something that's been on my mind, to give you a bit of a rundown on movies that I like. So, anyways, that's what's going on behind the patch this morning. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.